This turn stems from the colonial era. Even though England believed in a system of mercantilism where the colonies existed for the benefit of the mother country, Sir Robert Walpole decided to try something different to stimulate commerce. Walpole, the first Prime Minister of Great Britain, espoused a view of salutary neglect, whereby the actual enforcement of external trade regulations was lax. In other words, the British did not strictly enforce commerce laws with the colonies. As Walpole said, if no restrictions were placed on the colonies, they would flourish. This unofficial British policy was in effect from 1607 to 1763. Once the British government became stricter in their enforcement of commerce laws after 1763, protests and eventually calls for independence became more pronounced among the colonists. This would, of course, lead to the American Revolution.
After 1500, many European nations were competing for land in North America. The French and British already controlled vast territories, but both nations were interested in owning even more. With help from the Iroquois, British troops and colonists defeated the French in the French and Indian War. Colonists were grateful to the British government for sending soldiers, but they wanted to remain as free as possible of control by the mother country. For that reason, the end of the war brought new friction between the colonists and Britain. First, Britain's King George III issued the Proclamation of 1763. In it, the king forbade colonists from moving west of the Appalachian Mountains. The British wanted to prevent the colonists from taking more land from Native Americans because they feared it would lead to more expensive wars. And the British decided that the colonists should help pay the cost of the soldiers they would station in America, soldiers who protected the colonists from Native American attacks. In 1765, Britain passed the Stamp Act, which placed a tax on all printed material, from newspapers to playing cards. Calling themselves the Sons of Liberty, many colonists took to the streets to protest the new taxes. Eventually, the colonists' actions forced Britain to repeal the Stamp Act, but the British put new taxes in place. Each time the British passed a new tax, the colonists became angry. Colonists staged boycotts of British goods, and they wrote pamphlets that criticized Parliament's policies. Tensions rose even more when the British sent troops to restore order. Anger would soon turn to violence in Boston. On March 5, 1770, an angry group of colonists surrounded a small group of British soldiers. They threw snowballs and rocks. The frightened soldiers opened fire, killing 5 colonists and wounding 6. This event came to be called the Boston Massacre.